Good morning. How are you today? Well, it's a little chilly out, but it's not yet the coldest it can be. If you're looking for some music to soothe you in this day-to-day wait until January the 20th, you might try Carlos Nakai. He's a native musician, flautist, and the Canyon Trilogy is wonderful. It's just him playing this music. And I've always thought of the flute rather, as it's the soul going through this instrument. And in his case, you feel that genuinely. So I recommend that. Some of you who know him already know what I'm talking about. I have a couple of thoughts in mind. One of them is that I think we're at a point where maybe we do have to consider, what are we going to do with the outgoing administration when we take office? And there are some who are talking about a period of sunshine and forgiveness and so forth. And I'm not opposed to that sentiment. But when it comes to the apparent and possible crimes of Trump and his cronies in the cabinet, I think it's going to be hard to restore the republic if we don't have a serious inquiry as objective as possible by a new attorney general replacing the consigliere for Trump with a real lawyer with prosecutorial ability and a reputation for being even-handed. We know there were investigations of Trump cut short in the federal government, and I think they should continue, and they should play out as best they can. Now, between now and January 20th, Trump gets a pardon. That may be more difficult, may not be possible. But I don't think we should begin with the presumption that we forgive all crimes, some sort of amnesty for somebody who's trashed our system. And we should inquire whether or not he's committed crimes as we suspect or not. And if we have a valid attorney general, then that will help. If we get control of the Senate, I think we should have a special counsel statute so that we don't have the nonsense we had with the Mueller investigation, in which he stopped short of looking at the president, his family, and the funding. The second thing that bothers me is the GSA refusal by its administrator to certify that Biden is the apparent president-elect. The statute uses exactly that language to determine whether or not the president-elect, the successor to the incumbent, gets the use and cooperation of the agencies to prepare to take over on January the 20th. And we've had an administrator who's acted politically and without good basis, and day by day that becomes more true. So you might say, what are we going to do about it? Well, actually, bending a knee and pleading hasn't worked. And I think that we should tighten the sphincter muscles of the GSA administrator by seeking a mandamus against her to perform her duty, which is now ministerial in the sense that there isn't any objective question that Biden is the apparent, that's the word, president-elect. And because of that, he is entitled under the statute, goes back to 1963, all the necessary cooperation so that he can prepare to take over as president. A mandamus, when issued to a single officer who has a ministerial act to perform, can be forced to perform that act because it doesn't involve any thinking, really, any discretion. So, because it's manifest that Biden is the apparent president-elect. And we then introduced the compulsion that I was talking about with President against the GSA administrator. The third thing that comes to mind is that change management is always a problem for us. That is, how do we deal with change? And, change is constant, and we all deal with it better or worse. And I do think if you get older, and you don't have to be that old, late 20s, 30s, you start realizing that if you don't adapt, your existence is compromised. And in the case of a pandemic, it could destroy you. And when you have so many data points as to what's happening and you don't act upon it, you become an enemy of the state, really. And I just had a telemedicine conference, and because of my surgery for my cataract next Tuesday, and the person was telling me they insist that they work from the office rather than home, which they could do, and they're not doing it because that's not the way they did it. And you see, that introduces an unnecessary risk, and that's a shame and unnecessary. So I think we're going full steam ahead. I think Rudy again has given flight to those in opposition to him by proving that they have nothing to say. On Friday, I expect the judge in Pennsylvania will dismiss the case. I think he wanted the time to write something rather than to just say it's dismissed. And he's invited filings by the parties in the case. But it was a shame how Rudy conducted himself. And he's representative of our incumbent president. In a way, the whining in the White House fits the failure of the presidency. I don't want to say take it like a man, because why not take it like a woman? But sometime in life, you learn it's not to lose. If you're really good at losing, you lose a lot more. But there's how you lose, with dignity and appreciation for the fact that you had a worthy opponent. And Seneca, my favorite Roman senator, he talks about that. If you're in a contest with someone who is not worthy of your talents, then you really haven't had a contest. So like if you win something because nobody else showed up, there's not as much honor in that as if you had a hotly contested battle. And we had that. And a man of dignity and class, or a woman of dignity or class, would have admitted and embraced the transition. But that's why Trump lost, because he's not that person. And we as America have a character that just won't accept a person such as this. And I don't know if we can persuade the rest of the nation of that, but that's our problem. So have a good day. Get out if you can. And I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.